Cain brought what he thought he was supposed to, but his heart really wasn't for his God. Abel brought what he was supposed to, and apparently his heart was for God. God received what Abel brought. God rejected what Cain brought. Now, having said that, let's see what happens in the story. So Cain was what? He was ticked, hosed, stomping mad. And his face, it says, was downcast. I know how my kids feel before they tell me. Has anybody got those kids? I mean, they can contort their face into all these, shapes and whatever, and I know exactly what they're feeling before they ever open their mouths. Cain, same way. His face reflected the shame, the disappointment, and the rage that comes from him being inferior, sitting in the small chair next to Abel. Now, it's interesting. Here's what happens a lot of times when we feel envy. We allow the person who has the things that we want to become the object of our obsession, to be the one that we put all of our focus on. But is it their fault that we don't have what they have? Usually not. They're just kind of going through life being who they are, and we fixate on them, from outside. Here's what I mean. God is the one who rejected Cain's offering, right? If Cain's going to be mad, who should he be mad at? God, but who is he mad at? The one that God favored, the one that God blessed, the one that he envies and is jealous of. And his rage is directed at him. Now here's what happens. When envy kicks in and rage, the emotion that's tied to envy, kicks in, it completely obliterates our objectivity. We are unable in that emotion to truly evaluate what's going on. If Cain was not stricken with envy, perhaps he could step back and be like, hey, why did God reject my offering? Perhaps it's because I didn't bring it with the kind of heart that he wants, and that should be my resolution. And if I do bring this offering with a heart that's right, he will receive my offering. And that's what God says to him in the next verse. But write this down in your notes. When envy comes up in our lives, it usually causes us to fail to see what needs to change in me. Envy then keeps me from seeing what I must change in me. We look at the other person, what they have, we get obsessed with that, we get angry at them for having it, and it just shuts off all of our common sense, all of our objectivity. It sears our conscience and closes off our heart to the work of God in us, and we stop worrying about ourselves, and we get obsessed with worrying about the other person and what they have. I was golfing the other day with one of my best buddies from high school. He was come down to visit Mickey, so it was a Mickey Markey week, and don't call me Markey. Sorry I ever said that. Anyway, and now you're going to do it. All right. But he came and visited us for a couple days. I got to go golfing with him on Thursday. Now, he and I grew up together in high school. We golfed together. We're always pretty evenly matched. But on this particular day, my golf swing was Tiger Woods. His golf swing was Tiger Woods' mom. I don't know. It was bad. And so now he had some legitimate excuses. He's not playing with his own clubs. He doesn't know the course, all that stuff. But as our scores got farther and farther apart, he started doing that. He started, because he's competitive, and I might have been, but because of his competitive nature, he started doing this. And tell me this isn't true about us. He points, now, the only one who's knocking the ball in the water when he's swinging is him. But he had, in his time with me, all these reasons why the ball had left his club and gone in the drink. It was my fault. Why didn't you tell me there was water over there? Dude, there's water right there. You see it. Yeah, but I didn't know how far it went. Why didn't you tell me this club was weighted to draw the ball? I would have lied. I'm like, what? Okay, so after a while, I was like, you're right. Matter of fact, give me all those extra strokes, put them on my score. I didn't really do that. But that's how it can be. We lose at something, and we point. We were in good company, Adam and Eve, mess up. God comes back in the garden. Hey, fellas, what's going on? She did it. Snake did it. Snake's like, that's right. But we have this deflection thing. We want to blame everybody else but ourselves. And what envy does, what our feelings of inferiority do, is they completely blind us to what really needs to change in us. Well, once we've been blinded, we're in a perilous situation. I mean, things can go from bad to worse very quickly. Look what happens next. It says in Galatians, Genesis. Why don't we go there? Anyway, chapter 4, verse 6. Then the Lord said to Cain, why are you angry? Why is your face downcast? If you do what is right, will you not be accepted? He's trying to bring him back to the things that need to change in him. He's like, hey, Cain, hang on, buddy. If you bring the offerings that you brought to me with the right attitude, I'm going to do the same thing that I do for you that I did for Cain, right? I mean, you could change this. What he's saying is, don't let your anger, your envy, steer you into a bigger mess than you're already in. Hey, buddy, come back to home base. Come back to the truth. Examine yourself, deal with this. But he says, listen, if you don't do that, look what it says. He says, if you don't do what is right, referring now to the things that are brewing in Cain's heart towards his brother, he says, if you don't do what is right, then sin, you got to know that sin is crouching at your door. It's this great Hebrew phrase that some scholars believe finds its derivative in the Hebrew word rabis. You got to put the spit in there. I'm not very good at it. Rabis. Anyway, and rabis was this Mesopotamian demon from a Mesopotamian religion who was known for his act of crouching at the door. Who has this kid in your house that loves to scare people? And so they'll see someone like you'll be carrying huge loads of laundry or whatever coming through the door, and they'll do this. Right, and they're ready. And as soon as you come through the door, they're like, ah! And then you're like, woo-hoo-hoo! And all the laundry, and then you punch them. You ever done that? Anyway, but that's kind of what this Mesopotamian demon was. Rabis was known for just, and he was diabolical because he, like sin in the Bible and our understanding of it, just waits. It just waits. It waits for you, like it teaches us in James chapter 2, to be enticed and dragged away. And he waits, that sin just waits for you to take that one step across the threshold of decision to do something stupid with your envy and your anger. And then as soon as you step across that threshold, he's waiting there and he pounces, bam! And like the Bible tells us in James, that temptation gives birth to sin, and sin, when it's fully conceived, gives birth to death. And that's when sin's got you. And so God comes to Cain here, and he's like, hey, buddy, be careful. If you let this envy thing get the best of you, it's going to take you over this threshold, and sin is crouching at your door. And then what's it say? It says this. It says its desire is to have you, to wrestle you to the ground, to control you. But listen, Cain, you must master it. And if you don't get anything else this morning, underline that in your notes in your Bible. That temptation that comes from envy, it desires to have you, but you, follower of Jesus, you, lover with the love of Christ, you need to master that.